Just imagine cutting the trip to Mars down. Not half a year, but maybe, 3 months?
Mm-hmm.
Or reaching Pluto in just a few years instead of decades.
It sounds like science fiction almost. Well, but that's the goal, right? For Pulsar Fusion, this British startup, they're working on this nuclear fusion rocket engine. Sunbird, they call it.
Sunbird. And the core idea is fusion power. The same stuff that powers the sun, but for getting us around space faster.
Exactly. And, for anyone listening who's prepping for the UPSC exams, this is really quite relevant. Understanding these leaps in space tech, how they could change future missions, international dynamics. It touches on science, tech, policy. Pretty crucial for mains and prelims, too.
Definitely. So that's our mission for this deep dive. Get our heads around Pulsar Fusion's Sunbird. We want to explore, how it might work, the kind of speed we're talking about, and let's be real, the challenges too.
And we're basing this discussion on a report from the Indian Express, just so everyone knows the source.
Right. So first things first, why fusion? Why is that the focus for space travel now?
Well, it really comes down to efficiency and raw power, I suppose. Pulsar Fusion's CEO, Richard Dinan, actually said something interesting. He suggested space is a more natural place for fusion.
More natural? How so?
Think about it. Space is already a vacuum. A lot of the really hard engineering problems with fusion on Earth involve containing that incredibly hot plasma. In space, well, the vacuum helps. It's less complex in some ways.
Ah, okay. So that natural fit could mean serious speed.
Potentially, yes. Serious speed. The numbers they're suggesting for Sunbird are, frankly, mind-boggling, up to 805,000 kilometers per hour.
Wow. Okay, put that in perspective for us. How fast is that compared to, say, current spacecraft?
Well, blows most things out of the water. It's significantly faster than the Parker Solar Probe, which is like our current speed champion.
And what does that speed actually do for exploration?
That's the game changer. The Indian Express report highlights this fusion rocket like Sunbird could potentially cut the travel time to Mars in half.
Half the time to Mars.
And maybe get us to Pluto in about 4 years. Think about that. A journey that takes decades now, cut down to 4 years. It just opens up the outer solar system in a completely new way.
It really shapes what seems possible, doesn't it? So how would this Sunbird thing actually work? Is it a whole spaceship? Does it launch from Earth?
Ah, good question.
Yeah.
No, the concept isn't for it to be a standalone ship launching from the ground. It's designed more like an engine module. A really powerful one.
An engine module.
Yeah, something that would attach to larger spacecraft already in orbit. Dinan mentioned this idea of, like, charging stations in Earth orbit, maybe even near Mars eventually.
Charging stations?
Well, staging points, perhaps. Places where these Sunbird engines could be based. They could then, dock with ships and act as a high-speed ferry between locations, rendezvous, move things around.
Okay, so like a super fast orbital tugboat almost. What are the first jobs they see it doing? The practical stuff.
Initially, the thinking seems to be around Earth orbit tasks. Shuttling satellites around more efficiently, maybe. But the bigger near-term goal they mention is Mars.
Mars.
Delivering heavy payloads, think maybe 2,000 kilograms. That's a hefty chunk of equipment, like a big rover plus support gear. And getting it there in about 6 months.
6 months for 2,000 kilos. That's still pretty impressive compared to now, but...
Yeah.
This all sounds amazing. There have to be big hurdles, right? Can't be easy.
Oh, absolutely. Huge hurdles. The Indian Express piece touches on this critical point size and weight, miniaturization.
Right. Fusion reactors aren't exactly small or light.
Precisely. They're inherently bulky, heavy systems, making one compact enough and lightweight enough to actually fly effectively on a spacecraft. That's a massive engineering challenge, a really, really big one.
And Pulsar Fusion isn't alone in tackling this, are they? I feel like I've heard about other fusion propulsion efforts.
You're right, they're not. It's becoming a bit of a hot area, actually.
Yeah.
There are other companies like Helicity Space and General Atomics who are backed by some big names, Lockheed Martin, even NASA support.
Okay.
And they're all working on similar concepts, developing fusion reactors for space. Many seem to be targeting similar kinds of timelines for testing, too, maybe around 2027 or so.
So there's real momentum here. A race, almost.
Seems like it. It shows there's genuine belief in the potential, despite the challenges.
So bringing it back to our listeners, especially the UPSC aspirants, understanding this tech, Sunbird and others like it, it's pretty vital, wouldn't you say? It's potentially a paradigm shift for space exploration.
Absolutely. It could fundamentally change how we approach interplanetary travel.
Yeah.
Shorter missions, maybe more complex missions become feasible. It impacts strategy, resource planning, the kinds of science we can even dream of doing out there.
Which leads to some big picture thinking then. If this tech pans out, how does it reshape things? International space policy, how nations cooperate or compete in space. What about using space resources or even long-term humanity's footprint beyond Earth?
Exactly. These are the kinds of profound questions that arise when you have potentially disruptive technology like fusion propulsion on the horizon. Lots to think about.
Definitely food for thought. Well, if this deep dive into Pulsar Fusion, Sunbird, and the whole idea of fusion rockets got you thinking, please do give us a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment. Any questions, thoughts, let us know.
And remember, our main source for today's discussion was the Indian Express.